Hey guys, this is Ed, Paul, and Anna of Current Brand Media, and we are here to tell you a little bit more about our sponsor.
Sportsball is a great subscription service geared towards minor league baseball fans. Each box features a different minor league team.
You get a box every 3 months with minor league baseball gear, including different styles of hats like Ed's favorite, the dad hat. The cost is less than $12 a month.
Proceeds from each box goes to More Than Baseball, the only nonprofit dedicated to the well-being of minor league baseball players.
We all know that Parents' Days are coming up this summer, so if you've got a mom or a dad or a grandma or a grandpa who are particularly difficult to buy for, but you know they're baseball fans, this is the answer, guys.
Meet your new favorite team at sportsballbox.com.
Is there anybody there?
Most people don't know that when a peacock flies, they have some feathers like deep under their wingspan that are that coral color, and there they go. And it's one you might have to ask him, like, whether he knew that going in and just wanted to make it fit, or if he really, saw that and then did it.
What's up, Dad Hat Crew? Ed here. This episode, I bring you guys Greg Sullivan. He's one of the co-owners of the Carolina Disco Turkeys. We talked about how he grew up a fan of baseball, specifically the Atlanta Braves. We forgive it for that. It's cool, though. And then also how he goes from being a journalist to now running one of the most fun, successful collegiate wood bat teams in the nation. So, guys, without further ado, I give you the episode. All right. Well, I want to welcome you guys to yet another episode of the Dad Hat Chronicles. Obviously, you already know who I am. My name is Ed, and with me today, guys, I have a co-owner of one of the most fun brands out there, the Disco Turkeys, Greg Sullivan. How are you doing, my friend?
Oh, I'm good. We're really getting close to the season here, so it's been some long days, but we're having fun. I think it's going to be, I think in a lot of ways, year two is pretty exciting. Year one, there's a lot of stresses, and year two, it's kind of, all right, now we know kind of what the baseline is. Let's see how awesome we can make this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. But before I go into the team, I want to get to know you, the fan, right? Tell me, growing up, how'd you become a fan of baseball? What was that moment for you?
Yeah, I grew up in a part of North Georgia where like everyone plays baseball. To our south, we were kind of in the exurbs of Atlanta, and like maybe 30, 40 minutes south of us were all of the fancy kids who played for like the East Cobb teams and stuff like that, like
right.
all the travel ball families and stuff. I ended up going to the University of Georgia, didn't play baseball there. Obviously, even if I were a pretty good baseball player, that's the elite of the elite, right? So
right.
Did not play baseball in college or even in high school. And at Georgia, I did work for a while for the city parks in Athens, Georgia. And, I did notice that like the parking lots, you would have like all the trucks in one, and then like all the Land Rovers for the soccer kids in the other one. I don't know if it's like that everywhere. That was just our demographics of our city, I guess. So I say all that to kind of say maybe we're a little bit preordained to go down a path, but I do think, especially what's drawn me to minor league baseball and summer collegiate baseball, I do enjoy the game, and there's a sense of nostalgia, like going to a game with your family when you're a little kid, Braves or other teams, wherever you're from. But I think the other thing is like kind of the smaller baseball environments, the intimacy is amazing at the smaller levels. And, really, I was a Braves fan as a kid, and always followed baseball, but now kind of especially like as you get older and like some of your family's passed away and stuff, you have like memories. And
right,
my memory looking back is my grandfather, he was the guy that worked all the time. He had a small business, and 1 week a year he would take off, and it was spring training, and we would get in a big van and go all the way from North Georgia to West Palm Beach, Florida, which is about the same as like going from Georgia to like Michigan. You know, it's like
It's
a
just
trek.
because Florida is so long.
Yeah, it's a border state, but it's like this like 4 or 5 more hours of Georgia and then like 7 or 8 hours of Florida till you get there. As a kid, it felt like really long.
An eternity.
Yeah, you try to sleep a little, but the games, man, I mean, you'd be so close to like Deion Sanders, Ron Gant, and all those guys in the early 90s, and Steve Avery. I remember him pretty well back then. And it's like 3,000 or 4,000 people there, and like a little hot, place, bunch of retirees, and then just a few little families, and you're like right up next to the players. And I think, trying to kind of feel some of that intimacy, but also like make it even more of a entertainment spectacle,
Yeah, no, I get it. And I think that's what's so much fun about also, like you said, it's like, just traveling, going to see baseball games, and again, minor league baseball, right? There's something, the family that brings family together. And it's such a great thing. I love that. I love that about baseball. So you say you go to college, you don't play, and then, life happens, and, how did you go from college to working to now owning a team? How that happened?
Yeah, well, I was a journalism major in school. Georgia is one of those like state schools that like, has some really specific programs where they're just like very, very strong, and kind of like Missouri, and Columbia, and, just like some random schools across the country, just really good journalism program. And, maybe it's because CNN and all that's down there. I don't really know. But so that, the live music in Athens and then journalism brought me there. And then you get out of school, and I was like really big into music, so I didn't do internships like you're supposed to when you're in college.
Right.
And so I get out, and like I'm a writer and into music and stuff, and I start talking to all these like small town papers about just letting me work for them. And I realized like the only jobs were like managing editor, which seemed kind of stressful. You had to go to like 6:30, 7 a.m. like budget meetings and stuff. And I'm like, or there's the other full-time job that all these places have, which was sports editor. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not a morning person really, so I'll do that. And that's a different hat, right? It's like you've got to be objective, and it's a different way of looking at sports. But I think it's a good way to like kind of step back and analyze it, so I do. And for whatever reason, I think especially in the summer collegiate level, you do find a lot of like former newspaper magazine writers that run teams. I'm trying to think in like, I know at least of one, the Ashboro Zookeepers, their GM is a former newspaper guy.
Interesting.
Victoria Harbor Cats, and Nanaimo Night Owls. I've just kind of connected with him over the internet, and he's a former a reporter as well. So it's like, you kind of maybe there's something about that, like being able to kind of like take we're all kind of fans at some level, but I think like kind of taking a step back and being objective for a part of your life lets you kind of see what works and doesn't work, and kind of try to make one of these teams really cool.
Yeah. And that's interesting, right? Because you say you go from journalism to, sports editor and all that to, owning a team, or being at least in other, other instances where you become a GM, is you guys have a firsthand look at the day-to-day of what is going on, when you are working in that other field, right? And you see everything, and it's like, all right, why not try it out?
Yeah, exactly. I think it helps. I mean, I was a sports writer after that first job. I did the unusual jump from a really, really small paper to a really, really big one, which is very culturally a shock, So mm-hmm. I was at the Nashville Tennessean, and really like minor league baseball is kind of like, I mean, the general assignment person does it, or like the new guy does it. So even though I was in my 20s, the AAA beat in some cities might be a bigger deal, but like it was important, but it was like, the veteran reporters were covering the Titans or the Predators. And it was kind of cool because like we were a big market newspaper, and these players were really good players, AAA. But like,
Oh yeah, they're one step away from the majors.
yeah, but it's also like a really cool, like, this, it was a good place to learn, like because it's when you cover minor league baseball as a writer, it's not really so much about the wins and losses and the stats. It's more about like, can you make this a personal interest story? Can you find ways to make this engaging, which is weird because for the players, it's a grind, they're like playing every day. But for us, we're like thinking about it differently, like from the story angle. And so, but the biggest thing I learned from that job was like, I can go to like 80, 90 of these games and still come back,
Yeah.
Because it would be kind of scary to jump into something so demanding like this role of like building a team and maintaining a team. If you don't know for sure you're the stomach to hack it, which I'm sure happens.
Right, exactly. And so, that's interesting. I like that you're like, all right, let's go, let's do it. Like you said, a lot of the new employees or someone that's like low on the totem pole gets those assignments, but it ended up becoming very fortuitous for you. That's something that it ingrained. You're like, all right, I can do this. This is something that I really like doing.
Yeah, for sure. And I also like got introduced to summer collegiate baseball in that job. There was a team in Nashville that started up called the Outlaws. Mm-hmm. And like, I covered them a little bit, but like our focus was on the bigger teams. But it's funny, like since then I've connected with the guy who used to own that team, and like we've like corresponded and kind of bounced ideas off each other. So it has kind of paid off. And like, I would say also like I've done some like corporate communications work as well, which, doesn't sound too sexy, but I think it was helpful. Just writing about stuff and doing task oriented work isn't the only preparation you need. So like kind of managing a brand for like a big company, as annoying and boring as that can sound, it probably was helpful to know how, even if you aren't someone who wants to work for a big corporation, you need to know how to talk to people that do, because those people might be potential sponsors or potential people you've got to sell tickets to.
And you're right. It's like, you got to know how to talk to different people, how to treat them different, not just corporate, but like other, small businesses and all that. So there's a different way that you talk to people. And I that's fascinating to me. I absolutely think that's, one of those craziest things. I couldn't do it just because I would always like to joke around and like, that's in my nature. So I don't know how I would handle that. So
I don't know. Yeah.
So let me ask you.
Always easy.
It's true. So let me ask you. So how and tell me, why collegiate wood bat, right? Why? Because there's other opportunities out there, and why pick the collegiate wood bat leagues in that matter for you guys?
Right. I think, I think minor league teams have a lot of fun, and I think it's probably a fun job for, I've been around some teams that have cool work cultures, they get to experiment a little bit, but I do think, there are probably fewer boundaries with summer wood bat. And like, on one hand, we do have boundaries. We can't really just do whatever we want. And so like, we've got to maintain relationships with the players, their college coaches. So we take that very seriously. I try to let my coach, and, we work together and we make sure the players have a good experience and all of that on one hand. And on the other hand, we try to make it fun for the players. And sometimes some of that experimentation that we are able to do technically is what gives the guys a good time. And so, for example, I always say that last year we had a game where we wore shorts, and you see teams that do things like that.
Going White Sox style, huh?
Going White Sox style, and we play in a ballpark that's a White Sox affiliate, so it's kind of fun. Good little connection, and it's also like the disco era connection to that style. So there's a lot of history there. but I mean, even that, like, it's creative, it's different, but like there's a major league precedent. So like if major leaguers were allowed to do it, I guess my guys have to be like, well, we'll give it a shot. So we do that, but like, I think we can't make them do that every game. So it's like, that's kind of the trade-off. It's like, we all kind of have fun together. We all take their health and safety seriously, and we all want the players to improve every season, and we try to win the games if we can. But we also have a good time. And for the players, like, they're all kind of coming from different college environments, but for the most part, like, they get really competitive in their spring seasons, and to some, often they have very serious goals for improvement or just reps and that kind of thing. But there's a part of them, I think, that wants to unwind within reason. They want to like kind of do both, get their work in, get a little better, but also not be in such a structured thing where they have to wake up at 6 and do this at 7. And
and it's, it's their summer at the same time. They want to get better, like you said, but at the same time, listen, let's have fun, because at the end of the game, it's a kid's game, right?
It is, yeah. It gets very, as they get better and better, it starts.
It gets very competitive,
right? But they look out in the crowd, I think, for our games, and I think they remember, So like, for our players that play at Wake Forest, they play in front of several hundred people, so like it's not a big change for them. But we have kids that come from like D2 and D3 schools, and sometimes great programs, but maybe it's just their girlfriends in the crowd, and that's kind of stuff. So it's like
they get a little nervous.
Yeah, they come out here and it's like, it's fun. They're like, oh man, kids are wanting me to sign a ball. I'm like, I'm at a tiny college where no one's asked me that in a while, so they're like super excited, and I think they have a lot of fun.
That's awesome. I love that. Let me ask you, why choose the Disco Turkey as a name?
I think because we could, I think.
Great answer. I love it. Because we can.
Well, I think, like our city felt like it was a place that would work. We're like, a little bit of I wouldn't say like an irreverent city or anything like that, but we're like I think we're like funky enough, where people aren't expecting some kind of poll tested identity, and then like there's teams all around. So like, if we do something and like one or two people were like, I don't like that, that doesn't hurt us at all. It's right. Like you go watch the Grasshoppers, Dash, the Rockers, like all these other teams in this area.
There's plenty for you to choose a team for you to follow.
And I think that helps. I think it's like, we didn't have to be, we, in some ways we're at least starting out as a niche product, like we don't have to be everyone's favorite, but like we do have a cult following. And I think that would be hard to do if you were, just some random team name, like I don't want to name like I'll just use my school Bulldogs, which is fine for college, but maybe wouldn't be a great baseball team name,
Yeah, I get it. Or choosing your parent club, name.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and listen, I'm one of your followers. Okay. I have the actual, like, got a couple of the hats already. I have the dad hat. So I am a fan of the team. So let me ask you this part. So you're a Braves fan. So is that the reason why on the sleeves you guys have that homage to the Braves, the 70s Braves logo, like, with the feather?
Yeah. I'd say maybe a little bit,
Yeah.
I think the Braves historically have been like the team of the South, and to some extent the team of the nation, one of the top, I think there was a time where like you could look at any random state that didn't have a team, and one of their top 2 or 3 favorites was always the Braves because of TBS.
Yeah, it was nationally televised.
Yeah, like there are like counties in Maine that their favorite team are the Braves. Like at least 10 years ago, and that could have changed. So yeah, I don't know. I think, I'm still a Braves. I still like the Braves. I don't like publicly claim a big fandom just because of what our role is,
Oh, you can't.
We'll work with any scout, that wants to come watch our players. We're happy to
absolutely, as you should.
So I don't claim any like allegiance really publicly. But I have some good memories as a kid watching some Braves games, and I thought it was cool, just someone who grew up in Georgia, that they had such a good year last year. But yeah, I think, that said, I think just as a baseball fan, there were some guys that played for the Braves in that era, like Hank Aaron, but some of those other guys too, that just looked kind of cool in those uniforms, and they weren't every year, they weren't awesome, but they had some good historic moments, and it's a cool. I can't really think of too many more memorable designs from that era.
And it look, it pops. It's great. When I saw the release of it, I went straight to John Travolta. That's what I went to. And I think everybody's a fan. I have not spoken to a single person that has said anything bad about the name, the logo, or anything when it comes to you guys. I think it's been overall a huge success.
I think so. Yeah. It's, I thought people were going to like it, but I think, especially that first month or two after announcing the team, it was kind of interesting how widespread and universal people enjoyed it. And I think really at the end of the day, it's just something that brings some joy, and it's fun. And I think that, there's, Britain did some great work. I think, people see the intention and art behind the design, and there are some other teams across the country that I think, you can say similar things about, but I do think the combination of the name, the uniform, the logos, it's all kind of, I enjoy all of it still, even this much later.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'll be talking to him regarding his process of this, but tell me a little bit about that, right? Obviously this is not my friend's podcast, Paul's, but like there was a process to this, right? To this, you guys sat down, multiple conversations, I'm sure was had, and how that go?
Yeah, I think it's the kind of thing where, we had a lot of thought about like what we wanted in mind. Like, I came to him with a name, knowing I wanted an animal, had some ideas. I knew I wanted to evoke the 70s. And I knew in some ways kind of how, but there were some challenges, and I talked to Paul about this, like, how do you physically show a peacock where you're like showing the full palette of color, showing kind
right.
of that like all the plumage and all this, and like physically, how do you contort the animal's body in a way that shows that off, but also shows like movement, and it's really tough. I was even like kind of sketching some things out when I was thinking about it, and like, I don't think it would have been easy, for me to figure out how to make it work, and that's where some of where Britain's thoughts really carried it to the next level. But yeah, and I think also like, I don't know, so many teams go with one of these big design firms, and I think for some of them that's probably the right move, because for me, I was very hands-on in the process. I don't think that's a good idea for most, in my opinion, most of the marketing people and the people for teams that do this, because I'm kind of like an artistic guy. Can't do what Britain does by any means, but like, I think I was someone who was comfortable having those conversations and working with somebody outside the box and trusting that, okay, I can see some genius in this person's work. I think this is a good fit for them, and kind of trusting that they were going to deliver on it, and kind of working with them on how to. And really, he did so much great work for us and still does. And, I think that was the thing for us to make it work. We wanted to go with someone who wasn't something you've seen like 20 different logos that they've done. We wanted something that was unique, and wanted something that we liked, not just that, oh, they've done some good stuff, but no, we really like the essence and some of the quirkiness of their work, and trust that it would fit and figure it out,
Yeah, no, and like I said, he did great. He's done some, he did some previous work, right, for MLB Rally, where, he did the rally cues and all that. And I was like, oh, that's a great logo. And then come to find out that he was also the designer of the disco turkeys. I'm like, oh my God. And you said, like, you went outside the box. You didn't go with a main, brand company. You went with someone, and he's also local here in North Carolina, which is also a good, thing. It's like he has an idea of the colors and, what would, work in this area.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think, you want people that really feel things, that like maybe even that's not very obvious on the surface of how well they know it. And you're like, I'm noticing new little small details that they embedded in this. Like an example would be the coral color of our branding is actually, most people don't know that when a peacock flies, they have some feathers like deep under their wingspan that are that coral color, and there they go. And it's one you might have to ask him, like, whether he knew that going in and just wanted to make it fit, or if he really saw that and then did it. I think it's probably a combination of the two, where he just kind of really likes that color, saw that, and then probably adjusted to make
a little bit as everything went on.
But that's the kind of detail and thought I like behind things we do. And and it's been fun. I think I learned a lot from him, and kind of we learn from each other. And it did take a while, and like you said, there are lots of conversations. And I think you can probably get a good brand for a team without doing all that, but I think we were able to make it work really well for us.
I love it. Now let me ask you this, without going into too much details. I don't want to give everything away. Are you guys working on other designs, any other stuff, for because that's alternate, right? You got alternate things for minor league baseball, and I think that's where a lot of the stuff comes from. Is that something that you guys are also dabbling into as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for us, especially like things like merch and really kind of making your branding and making your team identity have more dimensions to it. Right. Like it's stuff that, the idea is it like kind of works with what you currently have, but it like expands the palette a little bit in a tasteful way, or shows a new layer of what you're doing. And people and like fans, I think minor league baseball fans and fans of like sports team fashion and stuff are probably like more astute than people give credit to. Like they're not just nerdy dudes. They actually, like a lot of these men and women or kids or whatever, have a lot of taste and like thoughts, and I think it's cool. Give them some more options, right? Like let them embrace different parts of your brand that they didn't even think about before. And so Britton, I think, is someone who is, we're not just talking about let's make a logo. Like we're talking about let's build an identity, let's build a thing, and we're all
a brand.
We're always adding to it, but also like, I think there's a lot of potential for, alternate identities and things like that. And, we've seen teams, you see a lot of teams have promotional nights where they like do a one-off, and that's cool. I think for us, like we're thinking about it a little bit differently. So like, we've looked into like split squad games and like ways we could, bring something new to the table, and kind of how it could help the team functionally. And, and so, I think we're interested in trying some things out that are, like 180 degrees different from what we're doing, but also still fits in some ways. It fits together
within your brand and everything. As long as you guys bring me more dad hats, I'm a happy camper. I'm telling you that right now. You bring more and I'm buying.
We do need more dad hats. I had a couple social media messages recently that weren't from you. Like, give us some dad hats. But it is funny, like you get people that, which is a good sign. You get people that reach out with all these different things. It's like, we have like 2 or 3 people that really want visors, but I don't know if it's just they're the only two or three people that want visors, or if there's like demand under the surface of people that want visors, and that's cool. I mean, I think we're gonna like keep doing the team and keep adding on. So like if what people want isn't there this year, that doesn't mean we won't have more
next year. Yeah, and the year after. Yeah. I can tell you this, Dad Hat is a thing, that it is a real movement. I am the chief president of this right now. So it's going to happen. I'm telling you guys.
Well, I like about Dad Hats is it's really an interesting cross section of people. Like we have a lot of male and female fans who both like Dad Hats. You see old dudes that wear Dad Hats. You see 25-year-old men that wear Dad Hats, and it's interesting. And it seems to have no boundaries.
It's a good thing too. I mean, if you sit on it, no harm, no foul, right? You sit on a structured hat, that's it. You're going to have to really pay some money to get it fixed. So that's why I look at it as golf. It's amazing. Let me ask you something about the team itself. And I forgot to ask you earlier. I was looking at the schedule of the team and everything, but you guys did not specifically join an actual league. You guys play different teams. Was that purposely done? Did you guys not want to join one specific league?
Yeah, I mean, a combination probably, I would say. One, we've got there would be some challenges in like sharing facilities and fulfilling league obligations with the league schedule. I think that would just be different from year to year. So like this year, for example, the Dash play at home a lot in June. Not their choice. That's the schedule.
That's just the way it fell. Yeah.
And so like we look at that and we're like, well, we've got one weekend at home in June and it's all good. We've figured it out how to make it work for this year. But I think with a league, that would have been a bigger challenge probably. And then, next year we could do that again and it work out like last year where there's a little more balance in where their home games are, and stuff like that. So there's that component. And then I think also like we're just really trying to play the best teams we can find and kind of keep it kind of regional. I mean, it's a travel budget question there, but also like player lifestyle. Like it's like, some of these teams, like they're driving 5 or 6 hours all the time and stuff like that. And so it's a few components there, but we are part of the Triple ABA. So we go up there and play in the national tournament in Pennsylvania. We play some good local teams here before that for the months we're here. But I think for us too, like we have less of a need of credibility than some other newer teams because of the facilities we play in. So like if you're playing your games in like Truist Stadium, LP Friends, and Hickory and Truist Point and High Point and places like that, like the players know they're going to get a cool playing experience. So like you're not having to be like, well, we're in this league or that league. It's like, well, we'll play some good teams and play in some great facilities and then play in an awesome tournament at the end of the year. So it's just work for us,
Let me ask you, because you say you do, and I'm looking at here, you play a different couple of stadiums here and there. How is it then? How do you manage the merchandise sale at a home game? Because that has to be challenging all on its own.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, well, it hasn't been too challenging on the merchandise side. We're kind of pretty nimble and used to showing up at like county fairs and like pop-ups and working with like sponsors and showing up at event fundraisers and events and stuff. So we were kind of mobile there. It is easier, I guess, at the home games because we always set up in the same spot and have some tables and chairs where we want them, and the Dash kind of work with us to help make it easy. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited actually. And from a merch standpoint, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what the crowd sizes are in the different venues this year. And, on one hand, but on the other hand, like when we go to these new cities, there's a whole bunch of people that may not have any of our stuff. So it might actually be a good thing on the merch side.
Heck yeah, it is.
But I would say the other end of your question, though, to kind of give the nuance you're probably looking for, is that it was probably a challenge just in the off season, just kind of setting up the schedule, because it is a lot more, that's a lot more logistics to navigate, just kind of dealing with, a lot of great people, but just usually you're just dealing with like one or two great people instead of like having to deal with like
a whole bunch. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. That's awesome. I love the way that you guys approach it. Hey, we've done all this. We've gone to county fairs. We've done all this. We're going to approach it the same way. We're going to do a pop-up. Here it is. Come get our stuff until we sell out, or, until the game is over, and that's it.
Yeah, it's fun. And, I think the merch is part of what, people go to the games for, at least for us, it's a piece of it. We have a lot of fans that are probably, unconventional baseball fans. Maybe they're just like into arts and music and stuff. And we've got people that just like are super fans that like travel from stadium to stadium. We get kind of all kinds, and we enjoy all of them. It's everyone's welcome.
I love it. I think it's great. Absolutely. And look, listen, you're seeing my wall, right? I'm a collector myself. So I think, there's a big, huge group of us that we just enjoy when you see great logos, you want to get it. And that's just how that goes. So, which is a good thing for you, because you sell a lot.
Yeah, right. And you're almost like a combination of a sports fan and an art collector, an art fan.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a cool thing. And like, as you're into this culture, right? Like you learn who all these other cool people are, and you see what all these other teams are doing. Like even earlier when you're talking about the Hank Aaron 70s Braves feather, like Britton and I were talking earlier, that looks like the Gwinnett Braves have a little fish.
Yes, they do.
Shape. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And it's like, you notice like when you're constantly thinking of designs, or you're a collector, you start to see all these connections that are happening, right?
Exactly. The little details is really what's great about that. And you're right. I love that, that Gwinnett has that fish and all that. And it's amazing. I absolutely love that. So one final question here before we go into our, the fun part of the interview. Any future plans for you guys? You guys anything cool planned for this year, or that you are able to say, here?
Yeah, right. I mean, it's these podcasts are taped late at night, so you never know what people are going to say, right?
True.
Yeah, we've got a lot going on. We're doing some collaborations with different local companies. So like, it's like we're thinking through things like, can we find products that we can make a disco turkey version of it, and like things like that. A lot of teams are doing that, which is cool, because there's a way to connect with your city, connect with local small businesses. So we're doing that kind of stuff. We're working with the Humane Society a lot this year. So like more like dog nights and stuff like that.
Love that.
That's going to be fun. And then, we're working on alternate identities, like you're kind of hinting at. We're doing some of that. And, let's see what else. And then we are playing a cricket team.
What?
Yeah, we're playing them in cricket and in baseball. So
so you guys are going to be flip-flopping.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So
Yeah.
where are you guys going to do this? Because I want to be there for this.
Yeah, these will be in North Carolina, kind of places we never played before. But we're trying to work through like, okay, what makes it fun for the fans and like safe for the players. So it's going to be like, they're not going to be pitching to us. We're going to like probably mix the rosters up and make it work. Yeah. So these are like, so on top of playing all these venues, we're like working through some of these outside the box ideas, and it's the kind of thing where like every player doesn't have to do it. So like if, if
you don't feel comfortable. Yeah.
We're like, thinking through some unique things like that, but it's a life experience thing for us. Like, it's like, you're meeting people, and those guys are like from like countries like India and Pakistan and places like that. And you're playing a different sport. And it'll be a fun cultural experience. And then on the other end of the spectrum, last year, we'll probably do it again this year if they'll let us. We go to play in Martinsville against the CPL team up there. And the Martinsville Speedway guys, like the racetrack, they like show us around, give us a tour and stuff. So it's like, we're doing all these fun things and talking to people, meeting people. And
that's amazing. I think that's amazing. I love that. And the CPL is a great, league. So another collegiate whitbat league here. So I love that. I think that's great. All right. So okay. One more question. And I promise we'll go into it. So I'm definitely going to be making my way down to see you guys. I want to throw out a first pitch. Am I able to weasel my way into doing one of those?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
I love that.
Yeah, just email me the days you want. We'll talk about it. But
yes,
we can do it.
I love it. All right. Perfect. Okay. So first question here, my friend. You go to the ballpark as a fan, you're not working, none of that. What is your food and drink of choice?
I like a bratwurst probably.
Oh yeah.
And not every place has them. So it's like, if you get a good one, sometimes you have to find the special cart in the stadium that has them if they're like mostly pushing the hot dogs.
Off in the cut.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. All right. So let's take a look here. What do you think the most boring sport is?
I mean, even the ones that are like boring on the surface are kind of amusing by how
they have their own
quirkiness
to it.
Yeah, because the Winter Olympics were recent, right? So what are the sports like? There were some bizarre sports, right? And like
biathlon, you're skiing and then shooting a gun.
No, I'm like blanking, but it's like the one that's like on ice and they're like pushing the thing and they're sweeping.
Curling.
Yeah, curling, and like nothing wrong with it. But it's hilarious and funny that
broom, right? You're just sweeping
and they just look like normal people. And I mean, it probably takes a ton of skill, but it's like, it's so foreign to me that like, I'm interested, even though it's like,
I find myself watching it all the time. That's the one that if I was going to choose an Winter Olympic sport to play, that's the one I would choose. Curling. Well, absolutely.
For other reasons, like maybe I have a shot,
Exactly. Exactly. I like that. Okay. So if you could be any fiction or character, who would it be?
I should have probably prepped, listened to some of your past ones, right?
Oh, see, that's the beauty about this. These are new too. So not a lot of people have been able to hear this.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think, I'm trying to think of something universal. Like I can't really, but I want to give you an answer.
So many characters out there.
Yeah, there really
are. So many good movies.
Yeah. And this is like who I would be if I were.
Yeah. If you want any movie. So for example, for me, and I tell this to my wife all the time, if I could be a fictional character, it would be Indiana Jones.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I do kind of like that one. I don't want to steal your guy.
Go for it. You can. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if that has anything to do with, it does kind of have a little bit to do with running one of these teams. And I'll say why, because it can be like really nerdy, like the work you're doing to prepare for the season, but then then it's awesome once you actually do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so like
exactly.
He's this professor in his day job, we've all been there, researching and learning all these facts. And then,
you do the awesome stuff afterwards.
Yeah. So I think that's it. The planning for these teams can be that way, but then when the game happens, it's like magic,
It's true. True story. Okay. So, what Disney princess would make the best spy?
Oh man, I have a 6-year-old daughter, so I've seen so many of these, and so many new ones that I didn't watch when I was a kid.
My daughter's about to be 4. I've seen way too many Disney movies.
Yeah. I mean, the Frozen ones wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, you're right.
Maybe as a team, because I think maybe either of them would be.
They make a good pair. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good one. That's a good one. I like it. Okay, so if you were to pick a weapon of choice for the zombie apocalypse, which one would it be?
Okay. Probably some kind of sword, you know, like on Game of Thrones, like the Dothraki swords.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Really
Yeah.
dice up some zombies with those.
Chop
But you
them
might want
off
the
real
horse
quick.
too, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You have to. Have you ever regifted a gift?
Not only like in the games, like when you're, you know, in school and you're doing the whole like
Yeah.
gift exchange. Like I've done it in the course. I don't know if that counts, but in the course of those games, you do it, you kind of feel like mildly bad, but not really, because it's
Yeah.
strategy. But no, and like I don't think I've done it unless it was like an intentional joke to,
True.
you know, then probably.
What has been the best Wi-Fi name that you've seen?
uh you know, I don't know. I've so it's been a while since I've lived in like condo type places where there's
Yeah.
like where you pull it up and there's like 50 of them, and it's been a few years since I've had to like steal Wi-Fi, you know.
Right.
So I think all my neighbors are locked anyway, probably. But yeah, I do like remember back like maybe 15, 20 years ago, when I lived in like an apartment complex, I would see like names like, you know, like Stinky Pants and stuff like that, where like, I think the goal of them was kind of like, do you really want to steal this? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I think
exactly.
that was
Do you really want to talk? Do you really want to? Let's have that conversation.
yeah. Because I think there are like college apartments and stuff like that where like a lot of people are stealing passwords. And
for sure. Wi-Fi. Absolutely. I never did that at all. You know, let's take a look here. Let's see. I'm trying to, okay. Which animal is the biggest party animal in your opinion?
I mean, definitely a peacock, right?
Hey, see, there you go. Yeah. I like it. That is a great answer. Absolutely. And then one more here, and then I'll get you out of here. Your favorite TV show growing up?
Huh. That's tough. Because there were times where I just watched sports, to be honest. So
yeah.
I didn't really like sit down and watch TV.
I still put, you know, I got a TV behind me. I still put ESPN on a loop all day long. It's just how that goes. MLB Network and ESPN. Still to this day.
Like a sports bar at your house. I like that.
Oh yeah. Except when I'm working. I never do that when I'm actually working.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah. I think as a kid, I actually watched a lot of like retro TV shows, like Cheers and stuff like that, you know.
Gotcha. Love it. Great. Thank you so much for doing this. This was a lot of fun. Where can people find you on the socials?
Yeah, we're across the board. We're at Disco Turkeys. You know, we're very active on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and merch is at shopdiscoturkeys.com. You know, hope to see some of you guys out at some baseball games this summer.
Oh, don't you worry. I will make sure that I put all this information on the show notes, and then you can count on me, at least me, but I will definitely bring the family with me to go catch a disco turkey game up there in Truist Park, my friend. Thank you so much again.
Thank you.
I hope you guys enjoyed that episode with Greg. Make sure you guys are following the team on all social media channels. They are a lot of fun. Now, before I go, a couple of things, okay? One, make sure that you're telling at least one more person about this episode and about the podcast, so that way they can also enjoy it as much as you are. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and, give it 5 stars. 5 stars means I go up on the rankings. And until then, guys, keep on grinding and always support the minor leagues. See ya.
This podcast is part of the Curved Brim Media Network. Here are some of the other members of Curved Brim Media.
Hi, this is Ed Rivera of the Dad Hat Chronicles. Join me as I interview people just like you and players, coaches, GMs on the path that led you to become a fan of the sport.
I'm Paul Caputo, and on the Baseball by Design podcast, I talk to minor league baseball teams, designers, and other super interesting people about what these minor league baseball logos mean, and I talk a little bit about ice cream helmets.
What's up, Bucketheads? I'm Anna DiTomaso, and each week on the Baseball Bucket List podcast, I speak with a different fan about their favorite baseball memories, what the game means to them, and what's left to check off on their baseball bucket list.
Hey guys, this is Patrick Larson from the Minor League Baseball Hat History Series, and in every episode I go through the history of minor league teams through my personal collection of hats. You can find me on Twitter at PatLarson1. I hope you guys enjoy.
This is Patrick and Corey of BaseballMapper.com, and we have made an interactive map to help highlight all baseball teams from the majors down to collegiate summer leagues.
We want to bring you closer to baseball. So get on the site and find a team near you today.
Learn more about Curved Brim Media at curvedbrimmedia.com.